Hi everyone, I'm Saumya, an associate software engineer and an educator. In this video, I will give a detailed roadmap of coding profile in the IT sector. Let's get started. Getting into the IT industry as a fresher is not so easy, especially if you are targeting the top product-based companies or the good startups. In this video, I will give you a detailed roadmap of coding profile in the IT sector. If you want to become a software developer or an expert developer in any domain like mobile app development, web development, machine learning, anything, there are standard 5 to 6 steps which you have to follow, and I will be explaining each of these steps in detail in today's video. So let's get started. And hey, check out our free masterclasses by industry leading experts. Link is in the description. The very first step to start your journey in the IT sector is programming language. Learning a programming language is the very first step that you have to take when you want to become a programmer or coder. Often when we start our journey, we are confused which language should we pick. Should we go ahead with the Java, C++, Python, those industry standard language, or the JavaScript, Golang, such development specific languages? It's really very confusing. I have been there, and the best advice that I have personally observed is you should pick that language, that tech stack which aligns your end goal. If you want to get into, let's say, mobile app development, then Java and Kotlin are the languages which you should choose. Again, in mobile app development as well, there are multiple domains. Java and Kotlin is mainly for Android app development. On the other hand, if you want to develop applications and softwares for the iOS platform, then for that case, you have to learn Swift and C programming language. Similarly, for cross-platform application development, Dart, Flutter, React Native, these are the technologies and framework that one person should master in. On the other hand, if your goal is to get placement by the end of your engineering or do software engineering internship, then in that case, you should certainly focus more on those industry standard languages like Java or C++. Some of the students prefer to learn Python as well, but in most of the cases, Java and C++ are the languages that candidates focus more. Some of the organizations do not have Python in the OA rounds of the year. OA is short for the online assessment, that is usually the first round whenever you are going to give the software engineering interviews. If you want to get into web development, in that case, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, these languages are there which you should focus more on. HTML is used to give basic structure to the website. For the makeover of the website, like what will be the theme, the color of the buttons, all those things, we have CSS. And the language JavaScript helps in deciding what will be the action performed by each of the element. Let's say if there is a button, so on clicking that button, what action should be done, that is decided by the JavaScript language. So these three are the most significant when we talk about web development. Apart from these three, there are other things like Node.js, MongoDB for managing the database, and plenty of more tech stacks are there in web development as well. Now let's say your end goal is to explore machine learning, artificial intelligence, or maybe data science domain. For all these, Python is the first programming language that you should pick. By now, you would have got a decent idea of which programming language should you pick based on a field, based on a domain of your interest. Once you are familiar with the programming language based on your interest, based on your end goal, the very next step is to focus on data structure and algorithms. As a software engineer, it is very significant that you have a decent knowledge of how data structure work and what are the different kind of algorithms. Even if you want an expertise in development side, let's say you want to become a mobile app developer, in that case as well, a decent knowledge of data structure and algorithm will help you a lot. Let's say you are developing a music application. In that case, if you have to make a playlist of all the musics, then you should know what are the different data structure that you should be using in that scenario. So it's very significant that you have a decent knowledge of how each of the data structure work. That will certainly help you to become an expert developer. especially if your main goal is to get placement of your engineering or maybe a software engineering internship. In that case as well, data structure algorithm is something which most of the big techs focus heavily on. For practicing data structure and algorithm, you can use the platform InterviewBit. One of my personal favorite feature on InterviewBit platform is the filter feature for the topics. Let's say you are studying the data structure, arrays, strings, binary search, any of these. You can complete the theory stuff from the internet. You can read any article, any blog to understand what that particular data structure is. Once the theory part is clear, you can come on this platform on InterviewBit and put the filter like arrays. If you are practicing arrays, maybe binary search, dynamic programming, any topic, you can put the filter and start solving the questions. The best part of the platform is they have a well curated set of questions which are mainly asked by most of the top tech companies out there. And this platform is unique because they have the timer thingy as well, which is missing on most of the other coding platforms. When you are solving a question, you get to know what time you are taking for solving that particular question, and that helps you understand what is the average time you take to solve any coding question. That will really help you in your coding interviews as well. Once you solve a good number of coding questions on this platform, trust me, you will get a lot of confidence to give the interviews. Once done with step number 1, that is a programming language, and you have a decent knowledge of data structure and algorithm as well, step number 3 is to focus on either development for some projects or maybe competitive programming. Let's now understand which you should focus more. So if you want to improve your problem solving attitude, you want to become a competitive coder, then you can go ahead and do competitive programming. There are many platforms where you can practice to improve your problem solving attitude. Codeforces is one of the most heavily used by the programmers out there. If you want to become an expert developer in any domain like mobile app development, web development, machine learning or AI, you can go ahead and choose that as well. This will help you in making an awesome project for your resume. In the resumes, obviously, if you add projects, that will be really a very significant thing. If you have done some software engineering internship, you can show the projects that you did there in that particular internship. If you have some freelancing clients, some freelancing projects, you can show that as well. And a very interesting thing is, if you have contributed to some of the open source projects which has like million of users already out there, you can show your contribution to those open source projects in your resume as well. If you haven't done, let's say, any open source contribution or maybe haven't participated in any hackathon or software engineering internship, then for sure you should make some project on your own. I would advise to not make those simple chat-based application which everyone do, because that will not make any significant difference. The interviewers in the coding interviews want to see some different kind of projects in which the society's real world problems are solved. When I was taking one of the interviews for my team for hiring the intern, then I was surprised by the amazing kind of projects the interns were showing. That really helps a lot the interviewer in understanding that the candidate has really done some awesome work. And don't forget to paste the code link, the repository link of your GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, wherever you are pushing all your coding projects. That will help the interviewer in understanding that you have actually done that particular work. When you add the links to all those projects or maybe pull request issues that you have done, that will help the interviewer in understanding that the candidate has really done some work in those big projects. That really leaves a good impact on the interviewer that the candidate has contributed to such big projects. That means he or she has a decent knowledge of that programming language or tech stack. When we are in college, we really don't have that much exposure to the IT industry, how things are done in the actual software industry. In that scenario, some of the things which really helps us is contributing to those real world projects like open source, where there is no restriction. Anyone from anywhere, it doesn't matter if you are in your school, in your university, from which country you are, what's your age, nothing matters. You can go ahead and contribute to those big projects like Mozilla Firefox has their open source project, Quarkus is there, Wildfly. There are plenty of open source projects which you can go and explore. There is a beautiful community of tech people. There are already software engineers, senior software engineers working in those projects. Those software engineers are already there from the big tech, so they will be there to guide you, to mentor you. If you feel there is some doubt, if you get stuck in some issue, if there is some bug you are facing while writing the code, they will be there to help you understand everything. And that is something which has helped me as well in becoming a better coder. When you have a good community of people around you who are doing the same thing as you, that keeps you motivated. So certainly, when we are in college exploring these things like coding, tech communities, participating in the tech events, in hackathons, and taking part in those coding events, that will certainly help you understand how things are done in the IT industry. If you want to get exposure of the software engineering industry, make sure you join those tech communities around you. Scalar also has a very awesome tech community of coders where the coders can ask their doubts, their queries to the mentors in the Coders Offline event. Recently, the event was done in Delhi as well as Pune too. Make sure you join any such offline or virtual tech community. That will certainly help you in your tech career. Once you are done with the programming language, data structure, algorithm, you also have made some projects to show to your resume, or maybe have explored competitive programming. After that, you can improve your internet presence on some of the awesome platforms like LinkedIn. Having a good LinkedIn profile will certainly help you in getting that dream job. Yes, some of the recruiters directly hire from LinkedIn if your profile is interesting enough. If you have got good ratings on coding platforms like CodeChef or maybe HackerRank, and you have those things mentioned in your LinkedIn profile, the hiring managers, the recruiter, they keep looking for candidates on LinkedIn as well. And if you have the apt qualities, if you have the apt tech stacks, or maybe you know the programming languages that they want the candidate to have in, then you can certainly get the interview call from LinkedIn itself. So indeed, if you are learning something new, let's say you are starting learning web development or mobile app development or maybe DSA itself, just keep sharing your knowledge on the internet. On Tech Twitter as well, people follow some challenges like 100 days of code or maybe 30 days of web development. Every day, whatever new you are learning, make sure you share with the world as well. This way, you will have a documentation of your journey. Like on day 1, you learned that tech stack. On day 2, you completed that particular topic. At the same time, other people, maybe your juniors or the hiring managers out there, recruiters, they will also be able to see your progress and you can get the interview call, you can get the internship opportunity from the internet itself. So while you are learning, make sure you share your progress, you share your work with the internet publicly as well. When you do this, you open door to a lot many opportunities which you yourself don't know. Next step is making ATS-friendly resume. Let's get into the laptop and see how you can make an awesome resume which will help you get that dream job. The very first thing, if you are going to make a resume, understand the basics of it. A resume is summary of your education qualifications. You have to highlight your skills and expertise there. You have to show all the leadership achievements you have got in coding sector. If you have got some, let's say, scholarship or you have good rating on the coding platforms, make sure you mention them, you put them in bold. And you have to show yourself as a brand in your resume. It should be more than just your work experience. Whenever a candidate is giving resume to the recruiter, to the hiring managers, they don't really spend too much time on the resume. If you have something achieved good in the coding domain, or maybe if you have some awesome achievement, let's say hackathons, or have some open source contribution, just bold it out so that when they look at your resume, they get to know that, okay, this candidate has done something really exceptional and your resume gets shortlisted. One very significant thing is, before the recruiter or the hiring manager sees your resume have to go through the ATS system. There are so many softwares that the recruiters use for screening your resume. I will be giving some 3 to 4 tips around it so that the ATS systems, those systems which the recruiters use, your resume is screened through that very easily. Your resume is an advertisement of you. it should give a positive impression of you in the first 10 to 20 seconds. When we are beginner, when we are fresher, sometimes we really don't understand the need of resumes. I mean, when you are applying for, let's say, software engineering internship or data scientist role, machine learning, the resumes, your CVs really play a very significant role. That is a kind of summary of what you have done till now. Let's say you have achieved some great things in your domain, then you really need to show that thing to your maybe recruiter, or if hiring managers are there, how will they get to know that okay, this candidate has achieved so many things. So indeed, like, resumes are something which you can't skip to make. If you are in the tech domain and you want to get a job as a software engineer or maybe mobile application developer, make sure for the different roles in the starting, when we are, let's say, in third year or fourth year of our engineering, we have like multiple options in our mind. Sometimes we want to explore the software engineering domain, sometimes we want to try business analyst or program management role. So there are plenty of them. Make sure when you are applying for each of those roles, make a different resume. Don't use the same set of resume for all the profiles, because keywords matter a lot. If you're going for business analyst role, or maybe if you are going to try any leadership role like product management or technical program manager, any such role, even if it's an internship, make sure you cater your resume accordingly. That will really help you a lot, because when the recruiters use those softwares, like ATS or any such software, then they use some keywords. Let's say they are hiring for program manager, so they will accordingly put such keywords like related to leadership roles. So make sure in your resume as well there are some keywords which depicts that okay, this candidate has already done some work in the leadership domain. Moving ahead, make sure your resume is visually enticing. Use some classic colors. Don't put so many colors in your resume. That will really not look professional. Keywords, as I mentioned earlier as well, are very important to use. And trust me, making a perfect resume is really a continuous process. You can't make it in a go. If you are in, let's say, second year of college or third year of college, if you think that okay, I'll sit one day before the placement drive is starting and I will make the resume, that's never gonna happen. It's a continuous process. Just take out a simple template, start filling in your details, your educational backgrounds. If you have done some internship project, start filling in all the details in your resume from the starting. That will help you in making a good resume by the end when you actually need it. Keep adding all the things that you do. If you are achieving something, just go and add in your resume. So it's not a one-day process, it's like a continuous process. You can't make it in a go. And make sure that your resume is 6-second worthy, because as per a research, the recruiters, the hiring folks, they don't spend more than 6 seconds to scan your resume. And these are the significant components. Make sure in your resume you are putting these significant components in your resume. The number one obviously is your name, and then your contact details. Don't put extra stuff which is not needed. Like I will show you a template. There is a simple template which has a lot many mistakes. Make sure you are not repeating those mistakes in your email, in your LinkedIn profile, everything. Make sure you are using a professional user ID. That's very significant. Don't use any pet name or any such thing in your user IDs. And then moving ahead, make sure you have a profile or about section. What you can do is put the section profile or about and write the summary of this after you have written the entire thing in the resume. This will be a kind of gist of what you have done, what's your expertise, or if you have got some good things, good scholarship in any domain, you have to mention those things in the profile or the about section. And the next section will be your work experience section. In the work experience section, you can add the projects that you have done in your internships, or maybe freelancing project, hackathons, the open source projects that you have contributed to. And the next component should be your education. If you have got good decent marks, then make sure you bold that as well. Many of the companies have a decent criteria that okay, the candidate should have at least 75% maintained in the engineering college, or maybe in 10th and 12th as well. So make sure that these criterias are also in your mind, because some of the students think that in the college life it's not important to maintain the score, but it is. Many of my friends were not able to sit in the placement drive just because their CGPA, their percentage was less, and that was not meeting the criteria of the organization. And next thing you can add is your achievements. If you feel that you have achieved something really awesome in your domain, make sure like you bold it out. That's very significant. And in your resume, this is very significant that you be specific. It's very significant that when you are adding details of your projects or internship details, whatever that is, don't make the paragraph too long. Try to give the detail in as much short as possible. That will help you in keeping the length of the resume short as well. Here is a good example. You see, like if you just write developed a game, it's not making a sense. It's not telling any background, like you developed a game, it's fine. But if you read the other sentence, designed and developed a web-based game which started with a few users and organically grew to more than 5,000 users within a week of its launch. In the second statement, if you notice, the candidate is telling the entire background, like okay, the impact of developing this web-based application was that it started with few users and that scaled up to 5,000 plus users within this much period of time. So you have to make sure that you are telling the impact of the work you have done in a very crisp and organized manner. Developed a game, the sentence is just giving information. It is not telling like, okay, you developed the game, then what's the impact, or any such information is not given. So try to make your sentences, your statements, the paragraphs in your resume this way as it's written in the second one. And here you see, this is another interesting example. Let's say you have developed some promotional strategies using social media. The first sentence is really not giving any significant information that okay, the candidate did this thing, what was the impact of it. If you read the second statement, here it's clearly written, increase the social media engagement significantly by increasing the Facebook likes by 200%, growing the Twitter followers from this number to this, and regularly engaging with followers. And then the candidate is telling that developed promotional strategies which led to a 5% increase in the revenue. So this way you are giving a complete background. And when you have, let's say, some scholarship, you got selected for XYZ scholarship, instead of writing got selected for, let's say, TechX program, what you can do, try to tailor it this way. Selected as one of the 150 participants worldwide for a 3-month technical skills and professional development program, that is TechX, based on the academic performance, leadership skill and community involvement. So this way what you are doing, you are telling the recruiter that okay, this program is about this thing, because there are so many scholarships, there are so many awards in the tech domain. It's obvious that the hiring manager, the recruiter will not be knowing about each one of them, right? So you have to tell them that okay, this program was this much significant. Out of these many participants, you were also shortlisted, and based on what criteria were you shortlisted, you have to mention that as well. So you can maybe take a screenshot of this slide, this page, and try to make these statements, these sentences in your resume this way. It will certainly help you a lot. And make sure at the same time you are not exaggerating things. Just highlight the details which you feel are significant for your domain. Moving ahead, these are some of the action words which you can use. Once again, feel free to take the screenshot of this as well. Instead of using gap filling words like the, hardworking, or good communicator, those are really hard, like gap filling words which you should avoid to use. You can use these words like created, developed, managed, resolved, launched. These are so many. So feel free to take words, the action words from here. And this is one very significant doubt which most of the folks, most of the beginners have. Should we make a resume of 1 page or 2 page? So in this case, let me help you. If you are able to put all the information, all the significant details of yours in a single page, that's well and good, that's awesome. But if there are more achievement of your, there are scholarship or any such thing which you feel that it's good to extend to 2 page, then also it's fine. What's more significant is try to make a resume in a single flow. Don't make a 2-column resume, because I was reading one article by a recruiter, and she was mentioning that like in the systems that they use, the software like ATS, etc., if you are making 2-column resume or using too many pictures, graphics in the resume, the ATS system somewhere, all those things get screwed up in the software, and that's why your resume is not screened through that first process. So make sure you make your resume in a single flow, and 1 page or 2 page, it can go to 2 pages as well, if the information provided in the resume is very, very useful. Sometimes it happens when we are beginners, we feel that we don't have that many number of scholarships, awards or achievements that we can add to our resume. It happens with everyone. In the starting, obviously, we have no internship, no projects. It will happen with time. When you start your college journey, start joining the tech communities out there. That will be your first step in understanding what are the awesome things going around you. Start participating in the hackathons. If you build some awesome projects there, feel free to add them in your resume. That will help a lot. Also, this is one of the advices that I got from one of my senior. Maintain a doc and maybe mail it to yourself. In the doc, try writing what are the nice things maybe in your tech domain, what a scholarship you got, if you got selected in some like tech event or something. Just keep a track of all those things. Sometimes it happens that we got some scholarship, some award, but we forget about that, right? So make a list of them. Try to maintain a doc where you write your personal achievements, and certainly I'm sure that you will be having a good list by the end of your engineering. So indeed, like, explore as much as you can, participate in the coding events out there, in the hackathons, do open source contribution, and learn a lot. I mean, keep adding all these details in your resume, and by the end, I'm sure you will have a lot many significant things to show in your resume. Once you are done with all these steps, now is the time to start applying for that dream job. For that, you can use LinkedIn, or maybe directly check out the career portal of the company, of the organization you are targeting. Just go on the career portal, search for the role for which you are going to apply. If it's software engineering or maybe mobile application developer, data scientist, just search in that search bar and start applying. It's as easy as it sounds. And yes, these are the simple steps that you have to follow if you want to get into the IT industry as a software engineer, as a programmer. Based on what's the domain of your interest, you can change the step number like 3 and 4. If you want to focus more on competitive programming and not into development, you can choose to do that. If you like the video, make sure you subscribe to our channel. If you have any queries, feel free to drop them in the comment section below, and we will be happy to answer them.